This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast.
Did you guys see this? This is unbelievable.
What is that all about, Kinger?
Get in here for the real thing.
Like, let's get weird.
Maybe I blacked out trying to figure out what was going on.
Doubt, worry, fear, because that's what we're breaking the mold on here.
Welcome to Wild on 7th, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
All right, hey, first of all, thank you for coming. This is great turnout, great event. Thank you to the Mall of America for having us. If you don't know us, this is Wild on 7th. Might end up being your favorite Wild podcast. We like to say that anyways, to grind the gears of the other Wild podcasters out there. And again, thank you to the Mall of America for having us. This is fun. This is our playoff primer. Wild punched their ticket to the playoffs. It took them a long time. What was it, 81 games, 59 minutes and 40 seconds to punch their ticket? Is that what it took, Joe?
Yeah, pretty much on the button, and that's not counting the preseason and training camp, but it was a long time coming, but they did it in dramatic fashion, so wouldn't have it any other way. At the end of the day, exciting as all hell and awesome to see.
If you don't know me, I'm Ryan Carter, played for the Wild, now I broadcast for them on FanDuel Sports. To my right, Joe O'Donnell, radio voice, great play-by-play call, and then on his right is John King. He's famous for the all-hockey hair team and being maybe the Wild's biggest fan. Obviously, great to have you guys here. Thank you. And Kinger, since we're at the Mall of America, it's my understanding you have a couple mall stories that we need to hear.
Yeah, I'm an OG. I remember when we used to call this place the Mega Mall. Do you guys remember that, right?
The Mega Mall.
It went Mega Mall, and then it went Mall of America, and now it's MOA. So I've seen all the stages. A couple stories. I opened up the Gap at the Mall of America. I was demoted to stock boy because they wanted me to greet customers and ask how their day was going, and I said, I don't care how their day is going. And so they said, well, now you're going to work in the stock room. And famous King Brothers story. My two brothers got in a fist fight at the Mall of America. My mom and I had to separate.
Rumble in the rotunda?
Yeah, the mall brawl. It's known as the mall brawl. There were bags flying everywhere. It's a great source of shame for our family, but that's my connection to the mall. I do want a round of applause for the Wild making the damn playoffs, because how scary. I mean, we said choose your hard at the start of the season, and that was sandpaper hard. And
that was like 80
God.
grit.
Thank God they made it, right?
That was 80 grit sandpaper. Choose your hard.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
You may.
Can we get these people, these fine patrons, these big fans of the podcast and Wild fans to we get a little rowdy?
Let's go. Let's go.
Thank you. Let's go. Radio loves a good audience.
It is playoffs. Let's go. Playoffs?
Yeah, again, thank you guys for coming.
Actually, we appreciate that.
Should take a second to thank our sponsors too. Pilot Games, a presenting sponsor. Make sure when you're out after this, it is happy hour or close to, that you grab a tablet. Look, much like this, play their games. You never know, you could win some money, and when you do, your community wins. So, Kinger, let's get into where we're at right now. This is the playoff primer. If you don't know, the premise of the podcast is to break the mold. Minnesota Wild sports fans, actually Minnesota sports fans in general, are nervous Nellies. Is that fair to say, John?
Yeah, we got a lot of baggage. It's been a rugged ride, unless you were here in 87 and 91 with the Twins. We are always waiting for the other shoe to drop, and we're trying to turn Minnesota into Winnesota, starting with our Wild. So that's I guess we're the optimistic pod, wouldn't you say, Carts?
Yeah, I would think so. We believe that you have to break the mold. Like, everybody's waiting for the team to fail. Like, there's these self-fulfilling prophecies where they're afraid to invest in the club because they're trying to build these walls and say, see, told you so. I was never going to be fully in. I wasn't going to get my feelings hurt. So, yeah, we're trying to break that mold. And it took the Wild. I have to be honest, on that last broadcast, the Anaheim game, I was starting to get angry because it was oh, great, now we're darting ourselves. And you're watching the scoreboard. So you guys all know the playoff scenarios. Minnesota only needed, they had 2 win-and-you're-in games. It was Calgary 3 nights prior, or game 79 or 80. It would have been game 80.
Yeah.
Win and you're in, and they dropped that game. Calgary just flat out beat them. And then that forces them to have to win in Vancouver, down 2 goals going into the third. Great comeback, emotional win. And then it seems like, all right, they come home against Anaheim, and it should be kind of just you're in the playoffs. And it didn't go that way. Anaheim decided that they didn't want to roll over. And while down one, obviously they get the goal with 20 seconds left from Eriksson Ek, and the rest is history. But throughout that broadcast, I was starting to be like, oh, here we go. And you watch Calgary. So Calgary would have had to win out from that point, and Calgary was down to Vegas 3-1 earlier in their game, and then slowly you hit refresh, and it's 3-2, 3-3. So if Calgary had won all those games and the Wild didn't register a point, we'd be in serious trouble right now.
And the Blues were pounding the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah, that one was over
the majority
right
of that night. So the Wild didn't get the help they were looking for. They had to get it done themselves. And from a radio standpoint, I was also anxious and frustrated and thinking, man, this team was the best team in hockey early in the year. They went through so much. They got off to that great start, and how could they let it slip away? And then they found a way to get that point. So personal thanks to Jules Eriksson Ek and the rest of the guys on the ice in that sequence to tie the game. And Lukas Dostal almost ruined it all, man, with that paddle save on Eriksson Ek on the first try, but he banged home the rebound, and Stanley Cup playoff bound, 14th time in franchise history.
Let's do a little Flower too, because
yeah, that was cool.
I mean, this guy is one of the most beloved hockey players of all time. He's a gentleman and a scholar. Gus comes out of the game. This was his idea. By the way, he already banked.
Unreal that was his idea.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he banked the point. He was like, my work here is done. And that 5 minutes of overtime, I know it didn't go full 5, but it was basically a YouTube highlight reel of all things Flower. He's rubbing the post. He's stacking the pads. He's smiling from ear to ear. He's the only star of the game on the game sheet. I mean, what a treat in St. Paul, not only getting into the playoffs, but getting the Flower show at the end.
You missed the Flower glove save, too, because he got one in there early. Remember the one? And he brought it all the way up, answered the phone.
Oh, yeah. The old windmill.
Yeah, that was great.
He had the poke check, too, on the partial breakaway to start overtime. Yeah, it was really cool to see. What a moment, what a kind of like a storybook ending to a grind of a regular season. Now it's a reset and a chance to, maybe rewrite the Wild history books.
If I was being honest, though, when Fleury goes into the net, I didn't know how that was going to go, and if he wanted it. Now you hear the story after the fact that it was Gus that said, hey, put Flower in. So I don't think it was premeditated. It kind of just happened, and Gustafsson had to go to Coach, say, hey, Coach, I think we should put Flower in. And Coach says, yeah, that's a great idea. Jump in. He jumps in the net. 40 years old. I don't know, I'm 41. I can barely tie my shoes. I can't just jump up from the bench and then do a couple of pad wiggles, be in the net, and make saves like that. Fleury can. But I think it's also like the hockey gods pay it forward. When you're a good dude and you're Marc-Andre Fleury, of course it was going to go that way. I was nervous that maybe he wouldn't want to be the show pony that's paraded out there, and all of a sudden first shot against goes in the net and the Wild lose, and then obviously that experience is entirely different for him. But the way it went down with Gus, the saves, the highlight reel, it was so Marc-Andre Fleury that it was great. And the crowd, the chants, everything about it was just HOF.
Yeah, and the other part of it is too, let's look at his last start, right? They got the win, but it didn't go Marc-Andre Fleury's way, right? He was probably embarrassed by that performance. I think he said after the game he was just going to remember the national anthem and the fact that they won, right? Because his kids were out there on the ice with him, that everybody knew it might be his final regular season game. So to get that little taste there in overtime and to get the W and to play great doing it, as Kinger said, vintage Fleury in the process, just a really cool ending. And Gustafsson's got to get a lot of credit, the teammates on the ice, and Fleury handled it well, performed in that big spotlight moment, and got the W.
Hey, Huss, need a hand here. We're going to roll it back here with our bold predictions. So if you follow the podcast at the beginning of the year,
not looking forward to this.
We placed a bet on some bold predictions, and whoever hits the most, the others kind of have to buy him dinner. And they were bold. Some of the predictions were bold.
Kingers were not.
Kingers were not bold.
I don't know that's
he
true.
Went,
so
he
there's
went
an
for
asterisk.
the free meal aspect. He went soft on the predictions so he could try and win. That's fine. We'll allow it.
Here's what's on the line. This is dinner at Billy's Sushi. Has anybody been to Billy's Sushi? If you haven't, you need to get billied. You need to go there. If you see a man in a Hawaiian shirt that looks like kind of a Buddha, be careful because you may be there late. This is, I think Kirill eats at Billy's That's like his personal cafeteria, as far as I know. But so it could be an expensive night for the losers.
Yeah, it's going to be. And Billy Sushi's the spot. Yeah, bring him up. It's the spot that Kirill took Ovi out. So if you guys saw any of that stuff where Ovi was out cruising the town, that was it. So I don't know who's writing this. This looks too clean
That's
to be.
mine, yeah.
Wow, that's yours?
Yeah, I'm an artist.
All right, why don't you start, John, with one of your bold predictions. We'll see if it hit.
Okay, so I said we would not only make the playoffs, but also win a round, bringing us to the next phase. So that's undetermined yet, but I got half of it. I said we would get a Booyam bounce. He would join the team for the playoff push. He did not play in that game. Would I get a point if he joins now and helps them win a round?
I don't think
Depends on how the rest of us are doing.
So I got a half point. Ryan Hartman, 60 points. That is not looking great. Brothers of Bad, Trennan and Lauko become folk heroes, selling jerseys, 7th Street Savages. I can't give myself that one.
You needed more time because Trennan's becoming a 7th Street Savage.
Yeah, he knows.
Turns out he throws cinder blocks.
Yeah, he can. Don't get hit by him. This one I'm going to get Four Nations bump. Well, the U.S. didn't win the tournament, but Boldy and Faber, Billy, the Swedes, it becomes an important moment. 97 gets some rest. He ended up being hurt, but I would say Boldy and Faber came back from that tournament, played better. They didn't have the injury thing that every other player that was in that tournament had. So I'm giving myself one for that. You okay?
Yeah, I'm cool with that because the national spotlight, like Faber was talked about a lot after that ended as being such a all-world defenseman that not that many guys or people knew about.
And then Kirill on the pod.
So close.
It's coming. He'll be here. He might.
So what do you end up with, Kinger? 2?
Kaprizov out
1.5 chance for 2. All right, what do you got?
All right, I had Kaprizov scores 50. That should not be held against me. He was hurt half the season.
He's on pace.
Well, yeah, he would have been on pace. I had Yakov Trenyan to score 20 goals. I think he's at 7. That's not good. I had the power play and the penalty kill both to be in the top 10.
Bold.
Fail. This one also fell flat on its face.
What is
not
it?
looking good. The Wild win 30 games at home. I think they finished with 22 wins.
That's amazing, actually. The struggles that they had there.
Yeah,
and
I know.
still made it to the playoffs.
So is the goal of this section to establish that we know nothing about hockey and nothing about
These
the
predictions
Wild?
needed to be bold. You can't hit all of your bold predictions.
We don't want them thinking we don't know anything about hockey or they're all going to leave.
Okay, good. All right.
These were bold.
You have
predictions.
0, just to be
We
clear.
just got to wrap it up. We got to wrap it up. We got to pay our debts.
Hang on a second. All right, last one I nailed. Okay. I said 6-3-1 in the first 10, 14 wins by Thanksgiving, going 14-6-2. I don't know what they finish at, but the fast start's the reason they're in the playoffs. They're basically a 500 hockey team, after the holiday break. So
very
I
specific.
nailed the fast start.
All right, so you got 1 point. I'm in the lead. Karts, what do you got?
All right. So I had the PK steps up in his top 10 in the league. That didn't happen. I had Hartman getting 30 again. That also did not happen. Kirill doesn't go 3 games without scoring a point. I nailed that one. He didn't go 3, did he? No, he didn't.
What about the 3 games when he came back from injury?
He scored.
Yeah,
he got an
scored
apple.
multiple points.
Yeah, 1 point. Quit trying to cut me down. This one didn't hit either. Wallstead has the highest save percentage. He did play 1 game. Had he got a shutout, I would have won that one.
That would have been greasy.
Would have counted. And this one was good until about Christmas. Actually, this is an interesting stat that we should talk about. D-scoring, this will be our transition. D-scoring is top 8 in the NHL at around 190 points total.
Yeah, they were, I think goals-wise, most of the year, top 6, top 7, I think 2nd or 3rd at one point. And then it kind of fell off a little bit. Probably the injuries, right? Middleton missed some time. He can score goals. Faber missed a little bit of time. Spurgeon, obviously. Brodin. I mean, tough sledding when you're missing guys and you're banking on them to score goals.
I think if you follow the Wild season and their defense scoring, it tells the story of the season where the Wild were off to a great start when they were healthy. They had everybody. They were playing a certain style. They were getting 4 or 5 goals a night. Everything was good. And then the guys go down. And then they start playing a different style of hockey. And the D-scoring goes down. And then so does the production for the Wild in terms of the win column. So I think after last night's game, when the Wild get 2+ points registered from their D core, They're 35-4-4 on the year. When they have less than 2 points, the record goes down significantly. And in the Anaheim game, they got 2 assists, one from Brodin, I think another from Middleton, or it was maybe Faber at the end or something. But
Middleton.
Nonetheless, when the D are involved in the scoring, this team wins. So the fact that Zeev might potentially play coming up here too is exciting, because if they start to get a couple more points from the back end, the team gets to 4-5, and I think they have to do that to beat Vegas.
And so are you distracting from you only had 1 point, right?
And the one I'm going to fact check, if I'm going to be honest.
So I won.
Fact check
I'm going to Billy's Sushi. I mean, that's outstanding.
Looks like Carson
That's
and I are
gonna be
splitting the bill.
Well, hold on.
the guy
we'll
that
have
has
to
the
talk about this.
highest body mass index just won a free meal.
But John gave himself credit for those.
I know.
They get the
you hear how he
Four
was-
Nations bump.
Yeah.
What was that?
Did you
I
hear
do
how he
recall
was
Faber
scoring for
saying,
himself?
"I'm gassed."
Yeah, he was scoring for himself. Every time he read one, he's like, so that's
got
one.
that, I got
so that's
that.
2. Well, that's a half.
Well,
Now we're going halves.
I definitely win if they win the first round. I want to do a couple bouquets just to wrap up the season.
Yeah.
So Gus, I mean MVP, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
I
Yeah.
mean, and just a solid guy. You see him doing post game with his little kid. Awesome. Let's talk about the guys that stayed healthy. Matt Boldy, 82 games played. Mr. GWG, I hope they call them. How many game-winning goals he has? Over
10.
10 game-winning goals. So 10 of the games we
Franchise
won.
record, too.
He did. Marco Rossi, 82 games played. Freddie and JoJo. These were the 2 guys that Wild fans were hard on last year. They both had great seasons. Freddie played 82. Faber, 78 games played. I mean, he looks like he's going to die. They play him so much. What an animal. And then I had Marcus Foligno, a bounce-back year, 77 games. And then Bogo played 81 games. JoJo with 34 points. So these are the guys, when you have top players dropping out of your lineup and you got to string together a mile of the season, a week of the season, get the duct tape out, get the spit out, a little bit of butter. These are the guys that got us through. And I got to say thanks to them, because we wouldn't be here without them, and playoff hockey is all that matters, baby.
It's a great point, because they're the unsung heroes, right? Freddie Gaudreau, as you said, almost got back to his career high in goals. You talk about some of the other kind of role players, John Merrill, who I don't think you mentioned, but just to be relied
Yeah, Vinny
on.
Hinostroza, you could go
Hinostroza came in and scored 3 goals in the first 5 games. I like Devin Shore a lot in a Wild sweater when he was up at the NHL level. And when you're asking guys to come up from the American League, or you're claiming them off waivers, typically you get 2 to 3 games, and then it's a little bit of a tail off, right? You see the warts in the game. You see why maybe they weren't in the NHL previously or bounced around. But they got good legs and energy and life out of some of these guys, and they needed it, as you said, Kinger, because it took all the way down to the last half minute of the final game to get in. So kudos on pointing that out. It's a great point.
And imagine the press. Every time they're talking to someone, they're basically saying, all your good players are out.
Yeah. Yep.
All your good guys are out. All your good guys are out. And they have to be the ones to be like, I think we're going to be just fine. Zuccarello would be on that list as well, and in terms of his leadership and coming through without his sidekick.
Did you mention Moose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moose had an awesome bounce back.
It's the best hockey I've seen him play. I don't go back to the early years of Marcus Foligno in Buffalo. I can't tell you how his game was then. But as far as Minnesota Wild, the last 3, 4, 5 years, I feel like he's been really impactful. What do you see, Carts, the former player? Is it more leadership? Is it just his skating? Is he healthy?
You hear, he's healthy. That certainly helps. And I think he had off-season surgery, and it took him a little bit of time to get up to speed. But now all of a sudden, he looks like it's out of his mind. He's not thinking about it. He looks great, physical. But I think what he does better than anybody is embrace his role. So, and you hear Hines talk about this all the time, that you got to be good in your role. And Marcus is so good in his role and knows the details of his role so well. They can move up and down the lineup and it doesn't change. Coaches love that. And with that, I think Hines has rewarded Marcus and put him in different spots. So all of a sudden now he's a guy that's scoring big goals in the Vancouver game, to tie or late, and credit to Marcus for not changing, because that is hard, not to look at yourself on the top line and say, all right, I'm going to play a little different, so he continues to be who he is, and when he is playing Marcus Foligno hockey, that's the best version of Marcus that there is. I think that's what we're seeing right now. I got to throw one more thing out for Boldy, because this truly is impressive. What is he? Is he tied for second in the NHL in game-winning goals? Draisaitl might be ahead of him with 11.
Yeah, Leon's ahead of him. I think that's it.
Leon's ahead of him with 11. Boldy's got 10. Draisaitl has 50 goals. Boldy has 27. So you think about that. More than a third of the goals that he scores are game winners. Like captain clutch. And I think when you look at the Wild's young guys, that's one exciting element. Brock Faber in a third period, down a goal, all of a sudden you see him play different. And these guys, you talk about winning, and we can talk about it ad nauseum. Sometimes when you see it, like you know it and you believe it. And Faber's that. You see him want to win, change the game, get in the play. And I think you could make the argument, like, why can't you play like that all 60 minutes? Or why do you have to wait till you're down? I just don't think that you can. Like, there's just an element to gamers and special players that know how to turn it up when the moments matter, and both Boldy and Faber have that.
And Boldy had 2 game-winner shootout goals, too. Game-deciding shootout goals, I think, as well. So really, he helped the Wild win almost single-handedly 12 games this year.
Let's get to the second season now. But before we do that, Kinger,
this is what everybody's been waiting for.
It is right around like happy hour snack time. Like what's on the menu tonight?
Well, if I were going to get a snack, it's almost Easter, the official start of coleslaw season. Do not sleep on the slaw, folks. And if you're going to get it, get some Jimmy's coleslaw. They got pineapple. They're going to have jalapeno coming, 60-calorie, regular. I mean, grill up some burgers, put some coleslaw on the side. Give me some Jimmy's.
Don't you be messing
with my dressing. If you were going to construct the perfect Easter experience at your house, hosting your family with your wife, who would you trust to construct it?
I would trust Wild Construction to construct the party. No, obviously Wild Construction, great sponsor of the podcast. They specialize in roof repair, exterior damage. Actually, we had a storm roll through that dropped hail on us in the north side of town today, a little pea-sized hail. So if maybe you got a little bit bigger hail, don't hesitate. Call our friends at Wild Construction. Resources on their website to see if your place had a storm, when it was, and you've got 12 months to get that covered by insurance. And a lot of times it does take a handful of months for that damage to show up. So don't sleep on that, wildconstruction.com. Check it out. And Kinger, where do you like to buy your libations? Because I think this place called Cub has both good food and
I go to Cub.
Drinks.
Cub has, a lot of them have liquor stores. They do deliver. They're a hometown brand. They love sports in Minnesota. They go to, they got the Homer Hanky. They got PJ Flex headset. They sponsor Wild on 7th. They're awesome. Get your stuff at Cub. Go get some Cub Pub burgers as you get ready for playoff hockey. We got a lot of late start times, folks. So you might need to cook a little dinner and get ready to watch those games. Check out Cub.
And lastly, to hydrate yourself, check out our friends at Aquarius Home Services. They've been a great supporter of the podcast. They actually have an open house the first weekend of May 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I'll be there on the 3rd, the afternoon. Unless the Wild are still playing, I might have to change those plans. Fingers crossed. But they've got great deals on their filters and other products. So whether it's you need water treatment issues or electrical, plumbing, you name it, they've got you covered. They've earned the right to be recommended. I do recommend it. My user service, that's Aquarius Home Services, so thank you. Kinger, let's get into some of this podcast stuff because we were playing the Vegas Golden Knights.
Can I just, for 1 second, that was really impressive, fellas.
Yeah, you like that, right?
Transition, but no notes.
That's why
that's how
listen.
Passionate you guys are about those partners. You're not reading off a script. It's like you eat the coleslaw, you talk about it. You got your water filtration system from them, you talk about it. I mean, I got to say, as a fellow semi-professional, that was good stuff.
How'd you feel getting hotboxed in the middle there? You know, remember that game, hotbox? They throw the ball back and forth. You got to touch the base.
Pickle in the middle is what we called it. I'm older than you.
I was going to say monkey in the middle.
That's a tag game.
Oh, this is different?
We tagged you out.
Yeah. Run the bases, remember that? That was fun.
All right, so let's get to the Vegas Golden Knights. We got a couple of bits here, but Kinger, why don't you start with the game times and our philosophy
All right.
at home?
So a lot of you haven't seen this probably because it just came out. So we're going to start Easter Sunday, Bloody Sunday in Vegas. It's going to be a 9 p.m. start for game one here in Minnesota. Then it's going to be Tuesday in Vegas. That's going to be at 10 o'clock at night. So that little kid with the awesome hair is going to have to take a nap and then stay up late.
That's you, buddy.
Then they come home Thursday, 8 o'clock start. That is perfect. Get a little lubed up on West 7th and head down to the game. A Saturday, 3 p.m. that must be the 26th. That's game 4. That's kind of the matinee game. And then we go back to Vegas, 29th. It would be back here on Thursday, May 1st, and if there's a Game 7, it's May 3rd on a Saturday. Those times are not posted. So you got to get your rest, folks. You got to take care of your bodies because we're going to be zombies for the next, hopefully, like 5 weeks. I hope so.
Joel, you're a big numbers guy. You're always grinding on that computer. What do you find out about this matchup?
All right, well, I got a lot here, so you guys tell me which direction you want to start.
Tell us why we're going to win.
Yeah. All right, you want to start with that?
Yeah.
What do the people want?
Yeah, why we're going to win.
Why we're going to win? All right, here we go. The Wild win this series because the vibes are high right now.
Very.
4 straight wins for Minnesota in overtime. I mean, they haven't actually won in regulation much down the stretch, which is kind of concerning, but we'll take those overtime wins. The vibes are high. They're finally healthy. Right? Like, first time, I think, since, what'd you guys say on the TV side, November 10th?
Yeah, I think 11th, but yeah.
So the Anaheim game, the last game of the year, was the first time in months the Wild had basically what they'd consider their full lineup. All 3 games against Vegas, I looked this up earlier, so the Wild lost all 3 games against Vegas. We're going to gloss over that. They only scored 4 goals. But game 1, no Jake Middleton, no Joel Eriksson Ek. Game 2, they didn't have Spurgeon, Brodin, or Kaprizov. And Game 3, they didn't have Eriksson Ek or Kaprizov. So the Golden Knights haven't seen the Wild at their full complement. And by the way, all 3 of those games, Minnesota against Vegas, was the second of a back-to-back for the Wild. So every single time they played the Golden Knights, they were playing them on the second of a back-to-back, and they didn't even have close to their full lineup. All right, so back to why they're going to get this thing done. Vibes are high, team is healthy. And earlier in the year, when the team was healthy, they defended maybe better than anybody in the league. The Wild were number 1 in the NHL in the standings in early December? Mm-hmm. And they were there because of the way they defended. And Kaprizov, he was dominant. He was going to win the Hart Trophy had he stayed on that pace. I don't even think there's much of a question about that. Obviously, he got hurt. He hasn't looked the same since. But I think this rest period, so the Wild played Tuesday, day off Wednesday, practice today, travel tomorrow, so essentially a day off, Saturday practice in Vegas, Sunday game 1. I think that time, the practice time, the time to kind of rest up for Kaprizov. I know some of you are like, well, he just had all this time off, but he was rehabbing. And I think, and Karts can speak to this, when you come back from an injury, you might think you're feeling okay, but I wonder how those days after, a back-to-back feel when you had a bunch of time off and you had surgery, et cetera. So I'm hoping that we get Dominic Kaprizov. We have a healthy Wild lineup. The vibes are high. They defend the right way. That's how they win this series.
I'm convinced.
All right, well, it's good seeing you guys.
Should we pile on? I got my notes on. Here's why I think we win the series. I think we're going to be physical. This has been kind of a hot button on the podcast for years. We were wondering if we were going to be the 7th Street Savages for a while. So Billy picked up these big boys, Brazeau and Trenyon. And I went to a road game in Nashville this year, and they had like a 5-minute montage of Yakov Trenyon. And it looked like it was all from the playoffs. So we have the board rattlers we need. We got Moose running around. I do think it's a race to 3. You got to score 3 goals. We got great goaltending, great defense, and we're finally the Wild. People forget those first 20, 25 games, we were an excellent hockey team. That hockey team is now in the room again, so let's go. Plus, we're playing in the Pacific. Get a little vitamin D. The boys will be sitting outside in the sun. This is Carter's secret playoffs success theory, is if you can get some sun on you. If you're going back and forth from Winnipeg to Minnesota, you might want the season to be over. You're out in Vegas getting a little sunburned in between games. Let's go. So I got us coming through as well.
I think the Wild are going to need some things to probably go their way or change a little bit too. So over the last couple of games, it looked like they were trying hard, but almost trying too hard. You get that vibe? Did you see that out on the ice? Where like there was plays to be made, but they weren't making the plays because they were playing like not to lose, kind of, or not to make a mistake. I think if they're going to win this series, they have to like hit the total reset. And I think the hope is that like winning you're in, now they somehow get their mojo back and they just start playing. Like you admitted too that Kaprizov doesn't look like Kaprizov, but in the Anaheim game he's trying to wind it up, and you could see him late in that game like go deep in his own zone, pick the puck up and try to go up one-on-one, beat somebody, make a play, but he couldn't will it, and I think that's another thing when you come back from injury. mentally you want it, but it's not there. Like everybody's good, and the game's real tight that time of year, and he's figuring that out. The hope now is that he can chill a little bit with a little bit longer leash, and this is the entire club mentally, that they can all of a sudden start to figure out their skill, get their hands back, and make the plays. And I think that actually the game tire against Anaheim, to me, it blew my mind. So you're in a spot where you've got to get a point. There's 20 seconds left in this game, and Boldy gets one of the best passes of the season, where Zuccarello makes the best play of the three of those guys in that sequence. He peels it off the wall, a rim, and in one motion gets it to Boldy on the back door on his forehand. And Boldy probably could have buried that one, but somehow he has the wherewithal to see Eriksson coming from behind the net and just leave it kind of slow off that far post so Eriksson can do something. Mind you, Eriksson's a lefty there, so he's got to get the body all the way around the post before he can get two whacks at it, put it in the back of the net. To me, that play just screamed like they might get the moxie back. Like that play alone could do it. I think they have to have that. It has to appear. Otherwise, I don't see him scoring enough. I think the other thing that they have to have is probably the better of the two goaltenders. And Philip Gustafsson, career-wise, if you look at the averages, is a better goaltender than Adin Hill. And can Gustafsson be the body of work that he was through the first 82 games of the year? He's never had more of a workload. He's never been a true legit number one. But as the season went along, you start to look at the games played from Marc-Andre Fleury compared to Gustafsson, and Hines has started to mentally prepare Gustafsson to be a number one goaltender. And we'll see if he can handle it. I think he can. He's been in a great mind space, and John and I joke around all the time that they've kept this guy in bubble wrap. Like we don't see Gustafsson, like of the stars, in the media, we get Boldy, we get Faber, and we've even gotten Kaprizov and that cute smile he's got now from time to time. But we don't get very much of Gustafsson. So I think they've got him right where they want him. But if he can be the better of the two goaltenders, I actually think he's going to have to be the better of the two goaltenders. But I think he has it in him. Adin Hill, he's got a Stanley Cup 2 years ago. This is his first year being a true legit number one goaltender too. But all the pressure is on Vegas, and it will be on Adin Hill in that matchup.
I think the practice time, too, can't be understated how valuable it is. And somebody out there might be like, what are you talking about? It's practice. They skate all the time. It's rare for NHL teams when the year gets moving along, and you can speak to this having played, like that you get 2 or 3, 4 days, basically to practice, to rest, to get treatment, to work out, however the staff decides these few days should be used to prepare, they're doing that. And I think it's a combination of the training staff and the strength staff saying, here's what we see, here's the approach, the coaches dialing it in, the video sessions. And if you look, when the Wild started this year, they started on time. And they started on time because they had a hard-ass training camp, right? They were dialed in, they were locked in, they focused on the start, they had an approach, and they went out and executed it. I think that this time in between Tuesday night's game and Sunday's game is the perfect amount for the Wild to refocus, to hone in on Vegas, what they do, how they can expose things, their weaknesses, how they need to attack this series, and then the rest and the practice time, the D-zone stuff they worked on today. Like, I just feel like they're going to come out ready to go in game one, and if Vegas is sleepwalking at all, because they haven't had much to play for the last 10 days or so, Wild steal one in Vegas, I think we got a series.
If they could get that first game on that, like Vegas maybe not being ready to play, that would be huge.
Yep.
And Vegas did rest their guys down the stretch. Jack Eichel hasn't played 4 in a row. I think Stone sat out a couple. Pietrangelo sat out. Hanifin didn't play the last one. And actually, Adin Hill didn't play their last game either. So they are resting guys, different situation. And it's kind of choose your poison. Do you want to rest your guys going in, or do you want to play desperate hockey going in? I think both can be stressful. You just don't know how the teams are going to respond. But it'll be challenging because Vegas, I think, is like the 5th best first period team. And now, if we're going to give Vegas some credit, they're pretty good at a lot of things.
I mean, 50 wins, 3rd most points in the league. They don't really have a weakness.
46 regulation wins. That's not roll. That's regulation wins. That was most in the NHL.
Plus 56 goal differential, so they put the puck in the net as well.
Yeah, and Vegas is where they're at in the standings. Like, we're going to Vegas for a reason. Vegas is good. I think 5th offensively, 6th defensively. They've got the 2nd best power play. 3rd period, nobody has scored more goals than the Vegas Golden Knights, so they can close out games. They can come back. It's going to be a challenge. Now, I was
just going to say, to the third period scoring in the 3 meetings against the Wild, Vegas scored 7 third period goals. The Wild scored 1. So a lot of those games were close and then ended up being lopsided. The first meeting of the year was 2-2 in the third in St. Paul. Golden Knights score, Victor Olofsson, they win 3-2. The other 2 games were somewhat close in the third, and then Vegas just put their stamp on it, whether it's power play or an odd man rush. Like, you can't give them easy offense, but they will try to put you away in that third period. They're an experienced team. They have a lot of returning Stanley Cup winners from the 2023 championship they won. So it will not be easy in the, we're trying to tell you how they can win this series. It won't be easy. I think the Wild, if they're going to win this thing, it's going to take 7 games, and it's going to be a Game 7 at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, which, by the way, was a 7-game series last time they played, right? 2021?
Mm-hmm. So. Correct. So we want to get into what playoff hockey is about hate, okay? So you got to, get serious about disliking Las Vegas right now. Like, if you gamble on prize picks or whatever, maybe take 2 weeks off.
Kinger, I see some smiles out there. I don't think they get it. You said hate, right?
Hate.
No smiling.
There's no
scowls. I want scowls.
No gambling. Don't listen to the Rat Pack. We got to get buckled down here. So we were each asked to think about a guy that scares us from their team, and you got to help me with the pronunciation of this guy's name.
Dorofeev.
Pavel Dorofeev. I've never even heard about this guy. I play fantasy hockey. This guy he's what we call a Cy Young. He's got 35 goals and only 17 assists. By the way, 7 game-winning goals. So this is one of those sneaky players like Jordan Kyrou, who you just hate after 2 weeks because he wrecked your hockey dreams. So let's shut down this Pavel
Dorofeev, yeah.
Dorofeev.
And let's not know his name.
By the way, he has 5 goals and 3 assists in 6 career games against Minnesota. So for whatever reason, he is.
If your dog's name is Pavel, you change his name now.
Just for 2 weeks.
If you have an Uncle Pavel, you don't call him, you don't text him back.
Just for 2 weeks.
That's the guy that scares me because I've never heard of him, and apparently he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's a key player, definitely a guy that I noted. Led the Golden Knights in goals this year. Great numbers against the Wild, as I said. The player that Wild fans are going to hate, though, is going to be Ivan Barbashev. He's a big game performer. He's hard to play against. He's won the Stanley Cup twice, once in St. Louis, once in Vegas. 7 goals in the Golden Knights Stanley Cup run in 2023. He's got 79 career Stanley Cup playoff games in his career. Ivan Barbashev, little tiny Russian bowling ball out there. You're going to hate him by the end of the series.
I got a couple. Jack Eichel, and for a lot of reasons. One, because he's good. He's their best player career year. I think he's got, 90 points on the year?
94, yeah.
Yeah, tremendous year, but he's got that swagger. And if you watch the Four Nations, you started to like the guy, and you started to see how big of an impact player he was. I think he's kind of been in McDavid's shadow for the better part of 10 years probably?
Except for that cup he has.
Except for the cup. And I'll be honest, I got to eat crow. I never thought that a team would win a cup with Jack Eichel being their star, but I'm wrong. There's just something about the snarl that he has, the look on his face, the way he skates and things like that kind of grind my gears a little bit. Pay attention to it. We'll see if he grinds your guys' gears. But the hope is he doesn't, because if he is, that means he's scoring. The second one is Keegan Kolesar. He's kind of the guy that I think gets under your skin a little bit, and I don't know that this guy's knees have touched the ice all season long, meaning that he's strong. He's kind of an ox. Everybody he runs into, it's them that falls down, and he's the kind of guy that in the playoffs kind of makes a difference, and he kind of flies under the radar for Vegas because they've got big names. It's Stone, it's Barbashev, it's Dorofeev, Eichel.
Pietrangelo.
Yeah, you got Pietrangelo, Hanifin. They got too many names, don't they?
There are a lot of syllables.
Yeah, they're really good.
A lot of syllables. But here's the deal. You got to know your enemy. You got to really get focused. If you're going to make a doll, a voodoo doll, I'm not suggesting that. The internet's there. You could probably figure out. But I'm just saying, we got to get focused on this team to beat them. We need all the fans to be involved.
Speaking of I use the term, I've heard it before, and I've liked it ever since, a hate the face kind of guy, right? Sometimes you see an athlete who might be on the team you root for or somebody else, you just can't stand the way he looks. Mark Stone, man, when he scores goals, the way he celebrates, it makes you want to like him because it's electric. and you could see how his teammates feel about him. But just when you said, like, talking about Eichel's style or the way he plays, or like, I have a feeling that I'm going to hate Mark Stone here pretty quickly.
Well, that's Eriksson Ek for us, right? I mean, anybody Eriksson
Other teams absolutely can't stand him.
Eriksson Ek has been face-washed more than any player in the NHL in the last 10 years because he has that same effect on other people. When do you want to do fan questions?
We could do that in a second. I'll give you guys a couple things to look at that might irk you about Mark Stone. He might have the shortest stride in the NHL too. Like, for whatever reason, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
It's like chop, 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 chop. It's like he's running out there, but somehow he gets it done. He also has, pay attention to his stick, he has maybe the biggest tape job on the top of his stick.
Without question.
He probably can't get his hand around it. It's like this big. And then the way he holds the stick is silly too, but the guy gets it done.
Yeah, he's a gamer.
He's one of those guys that you'd actually probably love to have him on your team because everybody probably from junior on has said, like, can't skate, can't make it, can't skate, can't make it, won't be able to play, not good enough. And then all of a sudden he's like up for the Selke Trophy in the NHL, scoring 75 points a year. But pay attention to those things and let me know if they get you.
Hey, that's too much Vegas stuff. So let's just circle back with the Wild. We're going to turn Sin City into Win City. This is one of the best road teams ever. So let's
the Wild.
Yeah,
they set a franchise record for road points.
They're ready. There's no Vegas flu for this team. You're going to get Marcus Foligno throwing helmets. You're going to see guys like Hartman, playoff guy. You're going to see Zuccarello. You're going to see the Wonder Twins with Kirill. Kirill's going to keep getting better and better and better as we go. Ek's going to be on Eichel like a shadow. I mean, they're going to see more of each other. Those two guys, I mean, it's going to be constant trading paint between Eriksson Ek and Jack Eichel. So, and I think we're going to have board rattlers. I do think Brazeau and Trenyan are just going to, they're just going to be dumping pucks and say it, shoulder check, brother, because I'm coming like a freight train. And Marcus is going to be the same way. Leading penalty minutes for Vegas is 53, the guy you were talking about that hasn't hit the ice all year. But we're going to be physical. Jake Middleton, all of them. So, I mean, it is on like a rumble in the outsiders, and I know what team I'm on.
I did an interview earlier today with Jesse Granger from The Athletic, who's like the Mike Russo for the Golden Knights, and I asked him about trying to beat Aiden Hill, and we talked a lot about goaltenders in the series, and he mentioned that Aiden Hill, the Golden Knights starter, that he doesn't handle the traffic in front of him well, and he kind of gets like
Rattled?
into the fight. And I immediately thought about Binnington in St. Louis, but like that Hill could be a guy that throws a blocker shot at somebody. So if I'm the Wild, I'm getting in that blue paint from the start of game one. If it's 14 and Eriksson Ek or whoever, Brazeau, Trenyan, like camp out there, see if you can rattle this guy's cage, see if you can get a couple early goals against him. He's a very streaky goaltender historically. Let's get some early on him. Let's get some depth scoring, but just the middle of the ice, the blue paint in this series is going to be huge. Mark my words. See if the Wild can win it. Win in the trenches.
The snot bubble, we like to call
Yep.
it. Yeah, let's win the snot bubble. I think, our little game's not going to work live here, Karts. I'm making an executive decision on that.
Cool.
And I think we do fan questions. A lot of people want to win these jerseys. That's why some of you are here. It's okay. You can admit it. But Huss, how are we going to do the fan questions? How do you want to handle that so that we get some of the raw stuff from the fan base out there?
We'll bring him up here. But while we get things set, we'll talk a little bit. So special teams are going to play a big role in this series. Now, the one weakness Vegas really has, and it's glaring, is their penalty kill. It hasn't been good all year. It hovers around 75%. Now, it's similar to the Wild's penalty kill numbers, but the Wild's kill has been better the second half of the year. They've made a couple of tweaks, and they've gotten better. But the Wild power play now looks like it's going to have a different dynamic. So Zeev, it looked like in practice today, radio, that Zeev Bouillon.
I think that was a John King chant.
I hope so.
King or El Rey. Bouillon's going to play in game one of the playoffs.
And he's going to be PP1?
It looked like he's PP1. Is that what you saw, Joe?
I mean, that was a lot of the talk during practice, after practice with John Hines. He was kind of on the fence about confirming it.
It remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Like if they just wanted to see him in NHL action, and then they'll make their choice.
I think that was the case, and I also think he didn't want to tip his hand to the Golden Knights, 3 days out and say, hey, this kid's going to be on the power play. But
where are you at on this? I wanted him to play against Anaheim. I was devastated. I called you, Karts, and we worked through it from my hotel room that he wasn't playing. Now they won, everything went well, but I think this kid is he is a gamer. He's charismatic. He's made for the moment. Roll Zeev out there and let's go.
My
in that
opinion,
camp or not?
My opinion, you keep him in the holster for later in the series.
Really?
If it's not going well, that's just me. I just like the fact that they stuck with the vets. They've been there. They've done that.
So you think he's an ingredient, a catalyst?
I think he
you
is.
Lose
Now,
a game.
You
now
think
we
he's the
change.
salt and pepper? It'll take your dish to a new level after it's finished?
I would go garlic salt, but yes.
Yeah, he would be garlic salt. That's for sure.
But that's not what I'm telling you they're going to do. It's just like if I had to make the call, I'd say, like, you have this card. You don't have to play it right away.
What about you, Cards? Break the tie.
Well, the way I look at that is does this player make you a better team? And if the answer is yes, you play him. If he doesn't, the answer is no, you don't.
But how do you find that out?
Play him.
You got to make. That's why there are very, very few surprises when you get to this level. Everybody watches tape. They know what a player is and what a player is not. They know what they have in Zeev, and it's up to them to make the choice as the coaches, management, whomever, on if he'll make them a better team. If he gives them, and this is what Zeev does that nobody else does. And coaches always talk about this. What are the elements that player brings to the team, to me? And Zeev brings elements that nobody else brings. Now, he's going to have to take somebody out of the lineup, and those guys bring elements too, but I think those elements are more easily replaced than what Zeev could potentially bring. So I think that Zeev might make your team better, and if he does, I feel like you have to play him. And I actually think that the stance, like, wait till late in the series to play him, I don't think that makes any sense. If he makes you better, why are you going to wait on it? Like, play him right out of the gate. I thought he should have played in Anaheim against the Anaheim team. I get why they don't. There's a lot of pressure there. And think about the game and the way it unfolded. If he was out there, made a mistake, and then season's over, because it looks like it would have been season over if they don't get that goal late, then yeah, and now he has a much different summer. But the playoffs, you're guaranteed 4 games. Get him in game 1. If he makes a mistake, so be it. Let him learn. Let him be a player. He's also the kind of guy that is made for big moments. He's not going to go out there and be caught, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. He's ready for this moment. He's been good on the international stage. He's been good in college, played 50-some minutes in the national championship game. Like, the guy's ready for it. Let's see what he's got.
And here's a Minnesota sports fan thing, okay? If Zeev plays and he gets scored on, all the Minnesota fans, we're all going to freak out and, we made the wrong decision. Here's the deal with Bouillon. He'll get a point back. That's the game you're playing. He might make a mistake. He's 19 years old, but he's also a guy that's going to chip in an assist or walk the line, shimmy shake on the power play. And you just gotta believe. If you believe, it will happen. That's where I'm at.
I look at it like this. We all saw Macklin Celebrini. He's the same age as Bouillon, right? And Celebrini, does he look out of place? Are you concerned when he's on the ice? No, that guy was good. And he is good. He had 5 points against the Wild. I mean, the Wild were in the playoffs the night before. If San Jose, doesn't come back and score 5 points right there, I think that game in Macklin Celebrini changed the mentality of the Wild. Like that affected the outcome of the Calgary game. I wholeheartedly believe that, and that was Macklin Celebrini. Zeev Bouillon is the exact same age as Celebrini. Like, they're NHL ready. They're there. I think you put them in.
We'll find out very soon. All right, Huss, let's get some fan interaction. Bring it. Whatever you want to ask, man. Let's see what happens. It's a good way to probably up your chances for the jersey, too.
Hi. My question is for Ryan. I was wondering what your favorite memory is from the time you played Mites all the way to your pro career.
The favorite memory? Playing days? Gosh, good question. I do miss the community model. I can remember going and playing my junior hockey in Green Bay and packing that little Volkswagen Jetta and saying goodbye to all your little buddies, and then you're kind of off a little bit. But I think it probably was the state tournament, because you have like a rooting interest in it. Your whole community does. You walk down the halls at school. You got your jersey on day of game. It was just special, like how many people and the people that are around you are invested in that game. that really didn't happen anywhere else. Like you play in big spot games like Stanley Cup Finals, and it's like your mom and your dad and your spouse and your other people around, and everybody else is watching you, but they're not as excited for it as that state tournament. Minnesota has something special in that state tournament, but playing in that was probably the highlight.
By the way, shout out Matt Hussey. He's the man.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Yeah, how about a round of applause for our producer, Huss? He makes the show happen, folks.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming up.
All right, now get back to your job.
All right, what's your name and where are you from? My name is Bruce from Lakeville. The question is, which player would you say, in terms of impacting the team and elevating their game, was the biggest surprise this year?
You want to go first, Kinger? We'll all answer this. We might all have a different one.
Does Bruce have his own podcast? That's a damn good question, Bruce.
Oh, man, I would say as far as a surprise, I got to think Freddie Gaudreau. He was really, I'm on a lot of you Wild fans probably have a text thread that takes some pretty wild ups and downs in any given game, let alone a series. And Freddie and JoJo got just pounded on last year, and I just thought they came back, and he was awesome. He played all year. If you look at our scoring, he's a top 5 scorer for the Wild. Freddie Gaudreau, top 5 scorer. And he's also just a great dude that, talk about be where your feet are. He's probably got a backpack on, socks and sandals, pale ale at the top of the hill. So I just think Freddie's been a pleasant surprise. And if we didn't have him, I think we got some problems this year after what we went through.
I like that answer. I'd say in short segments, Marcus Johansson at times, like he's just such an impact on the game. You wish you got it more consistently. I feel like earlier in the year, Marco Rossi would probably be the answer to that question. But if I'm looking at the full, 10,000-foot view of the whole 82-game season, I got to say it's Gustafsson.
Yeah. I was going to say you guys missed the ball if you didn't say that.
He had a down year last year. He did. And the Wild suffered for it. He was top 10 in the league in goals against average, save percentage basically all year long. And because of that, they're in a playoff spot. Because with all the injuries and their inability to score for so many weeks, it felt like it was difficult to even get 2 in the back of the net at times. Without Gustafsson, and he played a ton down the stretch, as we know, I don't think this team's in a playoff spot. So I'd have to say from like a surprise standpoint, I didn't know if he'd bounce back. And not only did he bounce back, but he was really, really consistent for, almost the entire season.
Yeah, I think the staff would probably give credit to guys like John Merrill, Bogosian, probably the depth guys that had to play above their pay grade for a really long time. But the answer is, it's undoubtedly Gustafsson. So the Wild are not in the spot that they're in right now if Gus doesn't have the start to the season that he had. They had to ride that hard start, or that great start, through this down stretch. Like they played 500 hockey for the last 6 weeks because they were shorthanded. But if they didn't get off to the torrid start, and Gustafsson wasn't the guy, and he was the best. And you said that Kaprizov would have won the Hart Trophy, but I still think Gustafsson at the start of the year, despite having a Hart Trophy up in front of him, was the MVP of this team. And for him to go off in the summer, he finished with a sub-900 save percentage last year, over 3 goals against, and to hit the reset button. And he figured out how to hit his reset button. I do think we forget at times that these guys are people. Like he became a father. He signed his first one-way ticket, so that changes you forever when you've got enough money to take care of yourself for the rest of your future. How are you going to manage that? There's a lot that changed in this guy's life, but he went home over the summer to a spot where he says, listen, I'm most comfortable here. And he was challenged to be in Minnesota and work out here because they wanted him to be dialed. He said no. He held fast, and he made the right choice. So for him to have the guts to say, no, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to train my way. I know me. I know my game. To go back to Sweden, come back to camp. And remember, it was a 3-goalie rotation to start this year. It was Fleury, Gustafsson, Wallstedt. And Gustafsson didn't have to say a word. The team put him in bubble wrap, but he didn't have to say a word. But he said, no, this is actually my crease. And if it weren't for that mentality, the Wild are not in the spot that they're in right now. So to answer your question, Bruce, it's Gustafsson, I think, by a landslide. I
want to give a quick stick tap to the coaching staff as well. And the entire support staff. For instance, to Cart's point, last summer, Gustafsson goes back to Skellefteå, he's training. Matt Harder, Wild strength coach, went out there. to check in on him, to make sure that he was meeting certain checkpoints in his workouts. The fact that John Hines met with all these guys going into last summer and said, hey, we need more of you. We need this from you. Really detailed it out. Like, I love Dean Evison to death. This is not a knock on Dean Evison, but John Hines just seemed to have a different approach when it got to training camp this year. He was going to push these guys. He was going to push them some more, and he was going to make training camp really miserable for them. But it paid off because, again, they don't get off to that start they got off to with the injuries they absorbed. We're not here right now talking about the playoffs.
Yeah,
so.
they hit the right stuff too. Choose your hard. That was a training camp mantra, and now I think that they took that a little bit too seriously. They choose, a little too hard, guys. They didn't have to be that hard, but they've embraced it and the hard chain and everything about it. You add the season up. I think the coaches do have their fingerprints on that, no question about it. I got to ask you guys this one too now. If the Wild are going to win this series, who do you think? And I think the easy answer again is Gus, so we'll leave him out of this. Who has to be the MVP of this series in order for the Wild to win it?
I'm going to actually go a little different. I know this is not a surprise answer, but scoring's been our issue, okay? So the games that I hated watching this year, we'd have like 5 shots in the second period. I had no idea how we're going to score. Kirill is still ramping up. I think he's had some time now. I say it's 97. I know it's easy to say Aka on Eichel, but like if you don't score 3 goals, you're not beating the Kings anyway. Kirill Kaprizov is a very important piece of that. So I think this is the beautiful baby Russians series. Get us, and he's a breakthrough player. I mean, any skeptic, we're going to lose in the first round, typical Minnesota sports fan. If you want to change that dynamic, it's the NHL store guy, 97, hanging on the wall.
I can't remember, was his first season the Vegas playoff series?
Yes.
So he's got some experience playing against Vegas in the postseason, and I think what he learned, what I learned,
might have been his second season.
What I learned from him in that playoff series is that he's a grinder. So in order to score goals, you have to be in the middle of the ice. You don't score from the walls. Nobody does. But Vegas can force you to play the game on the wall. They're good. They can defend. Now, watching Matt Zuccarello over the last couple of games, he's shown a willingness to be on the walls and be able to win on the walls. Now, if he can continue to do that and get Kirill the puck in the middle of the ice, then Kirill can score. But what happened in that first series is Kirill would have to vacate middle ice, dangerous ice to go win board battles. And with that, you take your dangerous player out of the scoring sequence. The only way he gets that is somehow he picks up a rebound or something. So I think that Matt Zuccarello probably playing on the walls, if he can win the walls and get Kirill the puck, I do think that Kirill can be a difference maker scoring. That's 5-on-5. Now, power play is obviously a different animal, and the Wild are going to have to be good on the power play, and that's what's exciting because it's Zeev, so Marco Rossi looks like he's going to be removed from that. Now, the 5 guys you're putting out there are elite. You've got Zeev up top, you've got Kirill, you've got Boldy in the middle, you've got Matt Zuccarello on the flank, and then you've got Eriksson in net front. That actually is the recipe for probably a top-tier NHL power play, and they're going to play 2 minutes. So Now, this is going to be challenging too, so guess who takes the fewest penalties in the NHL? The Vegas Golden Knights. So the Wild are going to have to win those board battles, get to the middle of the ice, force those big guys that maybe can't skate as well to have to trip Zuki and Marco Rossi and some of these little water bugs, get to the box, and then score.
I was talking to Wes Wallace this morning at practice, and he brought that up. Like, if you shoot pucks, if you get to the middle of the ice, if you make that concerted effort, then you're going to get yourself more power plays, right? You might get slashed looking for a rebound in front. The Wild only averaged about 20 shots per game against Vegas in the 3 games in the regular season series. Again, they were undermanned in a back-to-back in all of them, so take that with a grain of salt. But if you're going to get your chances, if you're going to put some heat on the Vegas Golden Knights, you've got to get to that blue paint, you've got to get to the power play, and you got to take advantage of those chances because they might be few and far between. I'm going to give you a guy off the radar that has a chance to be a real factor in this series, and that's Jonas Brodin. From a defenseman standpoint, a shutdown standpoint, if he can make it through this series, at times he's been banged up and hobbled, and the playoffs aren't going to be easy, right? Golden Knights are going to try and run him every chance they get along the glass. He might block a shot and be in some pain, but if Jonas Brodin can pull off his shutdown magic and take away an Eichel or a Stone or Tomas Hertl, who we haven't even brought up throughout this series, It might
gonna
not
turtle.
It might not get talked a lot about, but I think Brodin can be a real difference maker for the Wild because we've seen him against McKinnon and McDavid in regular season scenarios where those guys don't have an impact in a game. Can Jonas Brodin for 5, 6, 7 games of this series slow down some of the Golden Knights' top players? Could be a huge difference.
And that's Eichel. So Eichel's smooth skaters. If you look at the analytics, nobody can shut down McDavid better than Jonas Brodin. And if Brodin can have that same effect on Jack Eichel, that's going to be huge. Huss, do we have any more questions out?
Yep. Couple questions over here.
My question is, could you put a percentage on what are our chances of not only beating the Vegas Golden Knights, but going to the finals and winning it, especially with Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek and possibly Boyum?
Good question,
That
John.
is
Why don't you
an
answer?
awesome question. Detailed. You guys go first. Percentages, he says.
Yeah, he wants it.
We got to let him down. We can't break this kid's heart, right?
No.
100%, dude. Let's go.
Well,
Is that what you want to hear?
to beat Vegas, I think it's probably. I mean, they're the underdog. The bets are going to come in for Vegas. I legitimately think that if the Wild can get to the style of play that they had before Christmas, it's a coin flip. And it's 50-50. Now, beyond that, what I'll say is I selfishly wanted the Wild to get wild card 1 to get out into the Pacific. So this is actually probably their toughest matchup. So if they're a coin flip in matchup 1, then they've somehow got to get through Edmonton or LA, which I think is easier than having to get through Colorado or Dallas or even Winnipeg. So the fact that they've gone out to the Pacific, I think, is a very positive thing and increases their odds. And I'll tell you a story. 2012, I was with the Devils. We went to the playoffs, and we were the 6th seed. And no business probably make it to the final, but we made it because the path was right. And if you go back in time and look at some of these, the path is right for the guys that win. And the Wild have gotten, I think, the first gift in terms of path by going to the Pacific. So to answer your question, first one's a coin flip, but it requires the Wild to be the team they were before Christmas. And fully healthy, I think the answer is they can be that. From there, nobody has good probabilities to win the Stanley Cup, but I'd put them, if they get past that first round, I'll put them at 35% chance from there to win it, which is pretty darn good.
I think that was an outstanding answer, ladies and gentlemen. What's everybody think, huh? All right.
Math major.
I like having a live
Should
audience.
we see what Money Puck says?
No. Not going to be.
No, we shouldn't.
The analytical nerds are not going to be kind to the
I
Wild.
like your answer. Just stick with
Couple
it.
more, guys. Couple more.
2 more.
Are those the St. Paul Capital shirts?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
What's his name again? Will Marc-Andre Fleury play a game in the finals? In the playoffs?
Good question.
I hope not, because that would mean I think Gus is our goalie right now. We all love Marc-Andre Fleury, but I think if Gus is doing what he's supposed to do, Mark's going to be right there with him, the flower, helping him. I think if you see him playing, we might be a little topsy-turvy. So I don't know that we want to see that, at least not for a while. If they go to full playoffs, it's absolutely possible, sure.
Yeah.
But I think round 1, let's just ride the Gus bus for a while and see what happens.
And I'll add to this, and I think Kinger's spot on. And Karts and I have talked about this throughout the year, on the road, whatever. The team plays really, really hard for Marc-Andre Fleury. So if Gus gets pulled early in a game, if Gus tweaks something in a game, again, hoping this is not the case, obviously, but when Fleury comes in, the team gets like that natural momentum bump. So maybe it's 3-1 in a game and Gus doesn't look his best and he gets pulled and Fleury comes in, you rally and win. I'm not saying you stay with Fleury, you probably go right back to Gus, but just the fact that you have Fleury with all that experience, Hall of Famer, the Stanley Cups, all the wins and accolades, and a great teammate, great person, big-time competitor. He is the perfect 1B to Philip Gustafsson for the Wild in this playoff run.
Yeah, I think the answer is you don't see him unless you have to, and that requires
And it'll be
an injury.
fine if you do see him, but
Yeah.
that's not the script we're running with right now.
No, but what I would say is, too, if the Wild get into a situation, and we live by this mantra, if you don't like your environment, change it. If they don't like the situation they're in and they've got to make a change, that's a change that could be a lightning rod. And I think Coach Hines knows that. Let's say they get down 2 games, 3 games, and something needs to change. I think there's a chance we see Marc-Andre Fleury, and he could be the spark that changes things for them. I think they'll utilize him that way. We got more, Huss?
One more. I think we've had enough Kings on the mic tonight, but maybe one more.
Mike from Lakeville. I got 2 questions. I got a fun one and a serious one. First one is a fun one for the panel. Who would you guys like to see do Let's Play Hockey? Maybe you guys first game. And second question is, John, have you scored in beer league hockey lately? And can you please describe the goal for us?
You start with that one.
I don't score a lot. I can't remember exactly the last time I scored, but when I do score, I put the first $100 on the bar tab, which could change how people play defense against me. As far as Let's Play Hockey, I'm kind of intrigued by bringing Shooter McGavin back, only 3 weeks later, paying the money to do that. Maybe Billy Sushi. I want somebody up there that's like a spirit animal that gets weird, maybe drinks beer out of their shoe. This is the playoffs, folks. It's time to get off the leash here and go to Thunderdome. So I want whoever does Let's Play Hockey. We're done being polite. Let's get rowdy. It's a late start time, and I just hope they bring somebody insane, a wrestler, Brock Lesnar. I don't care, just somebody absolutely nuts.
You got somebody radio?
Oh, I love that though. That's a great call.
Roll it back with Shooter?
No. I just mean let's get them fired up.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Well,
let's go Mount Rushmore real quick or at least the podium of Let's Play Hockey's. Who is it? It's Mason Shaw, and then what is it? PJ Fleck.
Yep.
And then who's third? TJ Hawkinson.
Shooter third.
Shooter third.
TJ fourth. But yeah, maybe it's Justin Jefferson. Maybe it's pull somebody out of the woodwork that surprises and delights people.
I like a John Randall face paint comes to town.
Yeah.
Choose your hard.
Absolutely.
He just flexes on it. That'd be mine.
JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I was thinking
just
that.
Going nuts. He's a former hockey player. He brings the zen to St. Paul. Yeah, I'd like to see that. Good question.
what about Fleury's kids?
That would be emotional, a different kind.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like
we don't need any kids
screaming. No, you want no kids?
Not that type of emotion. So are you going to help us with the winners of the jersey bus? Okay, so you want to come up. You want to do a couple Wild playoff messages as we get started?
Well, actually, let's make this the official wrap of the pod, and then we'll just kind of chill after this. But so appreciate you coming here. Appreciate the Mall of America for hosting us. You guys spending your evening with us, fighting through 494 traffic to sit down. Couldn't appreciate you more. Let's go Wild. We're off to Vegas. We got an extra day. We'll hit the slots. We're going to be lucky. Play a couple of card games, roll the dice, and see what happens. Radio Joe, thanks for coming out with us. Kinger, it's always a blast with you guys. So let's go. We're here.
Till it's here.
Boom.